just like, oh my God, like everything fell into place for me. It was transcendent, really. And so I wanted to be pro. So I just looked up dungeons in LA. I found the one there. I interviewed. And the interview process was actually hilarious.
Big Boy's Neighborhood. Hello. It's about that time for us to get uncut up in here, ladies and gentlemen. Your podcast from the neighborhood where we get a chance to be uncut.
Yes, we do.
Into the neighborhood, man. Now, for today's uncut, I have Barbara in the neighborhood. I've known Barbara in the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
I know her personally from a family member. I won't say who it is. You know what I'm saying? But Barbara is into what is BDSM. Before anything, what is BDSM?
Yes.
So BDSM stands for bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, and sadism and masochism.
That's a lot of D's, though. You put more D's in there.
It's bondage, discipline. Yeah, BDSM. And so each letter kind of means like
right. So
two
bondage,
things. Discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, and masochism.
Damn, okay.
Yeah, I know.
All
it's
right,
a
so
long
we just
one.
call it BDSM.
Yeah, that's why we say it. It's an umbrella term that really, it encompasses lots of different fetishes, kinks, and so BDSM isn't just one thing.
Alrighty, so when I ask what is BDSM, it's an umbrella of things that's under there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and now you say that you are in the BDSM lifestyle. You've been in it for about 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
And you worked it professionally for 2 years.
Yeah.
What's the difference between being in the lifestyle of BDSM and working it professionally for 2 years?
So, working at a BDSM dungeon, I was a professional submissive.
A dungeon?
Yes,
Okay.
a dungeon.
All right. And
It's not as crazy as it sounds or like dark or
I wish
dingy
it
or
was.
anything.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not some like underground
what
creep
does
show.
this mean? I worked in a dungeon.
So basically, as a professional submissive,
What is professional submissive? I got a lot of questions.
Okay, yeah. So
And keep it real with me. Should I take my pants off while we having this conversation?
no, I mean,
Do you need my
floats
credit
your
card?
boat.
Do you have a
Right,
credit
cash
card
or
reader?
credit? I take both. No.
Yeah, hello. So yeah, what is that?
Well, when people think of women professionally in the BDSM world, they usually think of dominatrix.
Right. Because I'm usually thinking like, oh, they hitting you and they striking you and they stepping on your nuts or something like that.
Yeah, so I was the other one. I was the one who got whipped and spanked.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and
Where
I
were
did.
you at when I was looking? Alrighty.
So it's it was a paid business. There was no sex or anything involved. It was mainly just role
what is
play.
involved?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's mainly.
Natalia said, "Oh, okay."
Well, because I was wondering, because
She was
when
like, I was
you
looking
say work
for a
and then
little
there's like a
second.
money transaction,
She was like, "I'm looking
You
for a
usually
second
think
job."
of that. Absolutely, really
She was
common
like, "I don't have to sleep with no one,
misconception,
right?" All right, so
yeah.
it's not intercourse.
No, there's no
Okay.
sex or penetration, kissing, or exchange of bodily fluids, right?
Okay.
So it's really just role play. So, and I've done the most elaborate role plays you can possibly imagine for my
Really?
clients. I have tons of crazy stories.
You never had no
I
black
bet.
guy that wanted to be like a slave or nothing, right? Sell out, motherfucker.
Not.
Don't even answer it, man.
Yeah, I plead the fifth.
Really?
Well, it was, people's fetishes. People
Right.
have fetishes for different reasons.
Okay.
And, in my opinion, it's as long as you're not hurting anybody, if
Right.
as long as it's between two consensual or more consensual adults, whatever blows your
So
skirt up.
what do people ask you to do?
So, one of my wildest, and when I say wildest, I'm not kink shaming at all. Like,
All right,
I do not
Damn,
judge.
now there's kink shaming?
Yeah, there's lots of
Kink
kink
shame.
shaming.
We gotta say this now, so we're not kink shaming
Yeah,
anyone.
we don't kink shame here. Yeah. So it's very memorable. So it wasn't too crazy or like too insane of a fetish, but his fetish was raincoats, like actual raincoats. So he brought a bag of like 17 different raincoats, and he wore some and I wore some, and I was like, ooh, this feels so good. Like, I was a lot more convincing in the session.
right.
A lot sexier in the session.
Let me hear how you did it for him.
Oh my God, really?
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God, this feels so good on my body.
Yeah, dude. Why do I want a raincoat now?
Right? Raincoats for everybody.
How does one figure out that they love raincoats?
You know what? It so depends. People figure out
Yeah.
their fetishes in so many different ways.
You watched
He might-
Singing in the Rain as a kid.
Yeah.
Maybe
liked
that's
it.
it.
Yeah,
That
that's what
might
it
be it. It's the fabric.
So you'll
Yeah.
put on the raincoat and you'll be like, oh, this raincoat on my body.
Exactly. And he just loved looking at it. And
Is he naked while he's wearing this raincoat?
yes, they can
Okay.
be naked. I had to at least keep my underwear on, which I was very grateful for.
Okay.
And then he, pleasured himself.
Pleasured himself. All
yes.
right. And he pays for this.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask about average of what this cost to?
Yeah, so it was $120
that's not
for
bad.
half an hour.
Ooh,
For half an hour.
Jesus Christ.
And then it was $200 for an hour, and then it just kept going up. But the girls split it with the actual business, the dungeon, 50-50.
Right. Oh my Lord.
So what was difficult though is I didn't get paid by the hour; I got paid by the client. So if I went in there and it was a slow day and I didn't get any clients, I walked out with no money.
Damn.
So that was the hard part.
There's not a business on your own where you could do this.
Yeah, you could do freelance, which I actually did for a little while, and so I didn't have to split it with anybody. It's just a lot. It was a lot safer in the dungeon, a lot more rules.
And it reminds me of like when you're like a hairstylist and you like have a chair at a hair salon.
Right.
And you have to split it with the owner, or are you doing it in your
salon?
garage and then you're getting it all for you?
Absolutely, it's basically the same concept.
So when you say the BDSM dungeon, it's not like I'm thinking it's not like really underground.
Oh, no, not at all.
And,
From the outside, it looked like just a regular Tudor house. Like
Really?
you'd never guess what it is. And they had different themed rooms.
So is it on somebody's block?
It was on Venice Boulevard,
really?
actually. Yeah. So I won't name the name just for confidentiality.
Right.
Did
they know that it was a BDSM dungeon next door to them?
If you look up dungeons in LA, that's actually how I got into it. That's what I looked up.
How did you get into BDSM?
Okay, so I was browsing the erotica section of Barnes & Noble, as one does.
Right, yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure we all do that.
I know, right? Who doesn't?
Tuesday.
Like, I have
Of
no
course.
shame saying that. And then I saw a book with a girl tied up on the cover of it and wrote.
And you was like, oh my God, that's me.
Well, actually, I had no idea what any of this was about. I was 17 when I read this book, about to be 18. And I was like, this looks cool. So I read it, and it was about a girl who worked professionally as a submissive at a dungeon. And, it was from the submissive side and the dominant side. And for some reason, whatever it was, the submissive side just clicked for me. I was like, this sounds amazing. It was hot. And also just the psychology of it made sense. So I met this guy at the Apple store, and he was cute, so I got his number. I picked him up. And it turned out he wanted to try it, but as a dominant. So we got together one night and drank really bad tequila because we were so nervous. And he put a ball gag in my mouth.
A what?
A ball gag.
Okay, and that's the thing that go in your mouth and they tie it up
Exactly. Blindfolded me. And
this your first experience?
My first experience.
Damn, you hit a home run.
I know, and made me crawl. And I was just like, oh my God. Like everything fell into place for me. It was transcendent, really. And so I wanted to be pro. So I just looked up dungeons in LA. I found the one there. I interviewed. And the interview process was actually hilarious.
Yeah, how did they interview you?
So part of it was just a regular like job interview, except it pertained to BDSM stuff. Like, what kind of nipple clamps do you like?
Right.
You know?
So if I were to interview you, would I say like, hey, get up and crawl around the office?
No. I mean, that'd be interesting, but no. And then the second part was a pain test. You couldn't it wasn't like pass or fail. But anyways, though, one of the mistresses spanked you to see what your pain tolerance was.
What the
that
hell?
was the second part of the interview.
Damn, that's worse than the couch.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, was there a couch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get spanked. So you can get spanked and still not get the job.
Yeah, you
That's
can.
fucked up.
I know, it is. It is. But luckily, I got the job. And it was like any other job. There were good days and there were bad days. Now, the difference between how I play in my personal life and how it is at the dungeon is in your personal life, if you meet somebody, right, I would meet like a mistress or a dominant, and we would talk about what we both like, what we don't like, hard limits, all of that stuff. And if we matched, then we would play together. Now at the dungeon, I would explain the house rules, and the client would tell me what they wanted. And then it was like, okay, what won't you do?
Right.
So it was like that. So they weren't really my dream sessions. I mean, some of them were really fun, but most of the time it was just really elaborate role play and some pain play, spanking, flogging.
Flogging?
Like
What's flogging?
so a flogger it's got like a handle, right? And then lots of leather straps, or it could be silicone straps, and it's like whipping you, basically.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Were you allowed to say no?
Oh,
to the-
absolutely.
okay.
I could deny any session I wanted. If I got in there and 5 seconds later, like if a client was rubbing me the wrong way, I could get out of the session, which I loved about that place. The girls were safe.
Now, when you talk about like just the stories of it and being in the dungeon, right? Are you still into that line of work now?
No.
What about lifestyle? You still into the
Yo,
lifestyle?
absolutely.
Okay.
I do that. And I also lecture at Ventura College every semester on BDSM.
Yeah, what the fuck is I lecture at Ventura College? How does all this? Because here I am sitting down with Professor Pena. I'm taking Spanish. I'm taking all this other stuff. They at no point did they have a BDSM lecture class.
It's a new day.
Right, yeah. It was for their psychology of human sexuality class.
Oh, okay.
And so I love to educate people about this and to really break down the barriers of BDSM.
Are clients all walks of life?
Oh, absolutely.
Because sometimes you think like, oh man, these are like creeps. Are these like married men, businessmen,
doctors,
high profile?
Wow.
Yeah, it's exactly. And it's all, and I use a scene name, which again, I won't mention just because I don't, I've got that reputation in the BDSM world and I want to make sure nobody thinks I'm breaking confidentiality.
Right.
So I have a scene name. So very, very few people in the BDSM world know my actual name.
Right.
Yeah, so it was, and I was always incredibly open about me doing this.
Now you say that BDSM changed your life. How so?
So for me, what really changed is I was able to hold my boundaries and say no. I got comfortable being like, it's my body. I get the choice of saying no, and I'm not afraid to say no anymore.
Right.
I have the autonomy because truly as a submissive, people think like, oh, you just say yes, sir. And if
has
they
it
tell
been
you
anything degrading? Like, has anyone like tried to spit on you or anything like that?
I mean, I've done that before. It's not really my jam.
Right.
So,
Oh my gosh.
again, not kink shaming, but it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
What happens when you see a video that Big and I had talked about, because we saw it online, and it was this married couple come into their wedding, the guy's on a leash, Atomic Dog is playing, and like she's walking him around like a dog. What's the first thing that happens in your mind when you see that?
For me, I'm like, what's up? These are my people. This is my tribe.
Hey man, when you walk into a room, right, and you walked into this room and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, all right? Do you walk into a room and you know who the freaks are, or you know like when
I can more identify if they are tops or bottoms. So if they're subs,
now explain.
So a lot of it is personality and how they interact. But what's interesting is there are a lot of like when men or women are in prominent positions and they have to like keep control and like make sure they're always professional.
Just knowing me or looking at me in the room.
I think you'd be a switch.
What's a switch?
So you
Damn.
do both. You do both.
Double
Oh
dipping,
my God.
dog.
So I'm a switcher, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But I have to spend a little bit more time with you.
Well, let me know.
I mean, not like that.
So the switch, I'm dominant and I'm submissive?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's, again, those are umbrella terms, dominant, submissive. There's different types of dominance. There's different types of submissives. So there are like bratty subs who like to talk back, give attitude just to be punished.
Right.
There are like...
so you would tell, like, if I'm being submissive, and you like, come on over, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly like that too. That was perfect. That was brilliant.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? Where I go, no. I'm gonna hit you. Oh, are you? What are you gonna do to me if I don't?
Yeah, like try me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Gotcha. All righty. And what about Louis? What does Louis seem like to you?
What would I be?
I think you may be more of a dom.
Really though?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I heard that.
I thought she was gonna say short missive.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
new term.
Do you have female clients as well?
Not at the dungeon because generally women don't have to pay for it.
Have you ever been dominant? Oh, damn. Y'all women, y'all get everything.
I've always been a submissive, 100%. I just cannot dominate a man, but I've recently gotten into dominating women.
Really?
And I like it.
What about men that like to get punched in their nuts and all that type of shit?
Cock and ball torture?
Oh my God.
No, was I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
you good.
No, I could not do that for the life of me.
Really?
It would be, I remember I tried to dominate a man and I was flogging him and he called me mistress. I was like, I'm out.
Right,
I
really?
cannot do this.
So you're submissive.
I am submissive.
Are you submissive in life as well?
No, actually, I'm very bold. I'm very much, and I need to keep control in my life. Like I am a sober alcoholic, and I need to keep in control of my sobriety, and that can be incredibly stressful. So to be able to not have to think about that when I'm submitting, it's a sense of freedom. It's like I can be, I don't have to worry about anything.
What about personal relationships? Because I just met you. You introduced him as your lover.
My lover,
not
yes.
your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the difference?
So we have been trying BDSM, right? I'm just introducing, and he's an absolute natural, and I love it. And I also play with other people. Now, mind you, our rules are different. There is nothing sexual that I do with anybody else except for him. Sex for me, unless it's my partner, sex almost ruins it because it's I call it a psychological orgasm when I'm playing. So it's very much a different type of intimacy. And I have to be safe and I have to trust my dominant. Of course, everybody's had bad experiences with that. And so it's about trusting them completely.
Right.
So,
man, anyone else?
Yeah. It's just there's so much.
Can you ask to elaborate on a bad experience?
Yeah. What is a bad experience? Have you had a bad experience?
Yes, I have.
Talk to me.
Okay, so it was very traumatic. I was playing with this guy. It was the third or fourth time we were playing. And we made a rule of no sex while we played.
Oh, no.
And while I was in this thing called subspace, a state of mind where the euphoria, the endorphins are so high, I don't, everything just, falls away. It's so blissful. It's like nirvana. And I'm non-communicative in that state. So I cannot say a safe word. I cannot say no. And he attacked me.
Really?
While I was in subspace.
So what happens from there? Are you able to call the authorities?
I would have liked to do that, but as a lot of women know who have gone through sexual trauma, it's hard to get justice. And when it's in a situation like that, oh, she was asking for it, or look, she was a freak. She, you know what I mean?
But being that was your third or fourth time, do you have an address or a profile? I got somebody to go over and kill him.
No, I don't actually, but
okay.
I got pissed, and of course I never played with him again.
Right.
And
is there good money in this?
Yes, when you do it professionally, it can absolutely be good money.
What could someone make a year? If you put the time in, you crawled around enough, you put enough of the ball and chain.
Yeah, there's enough ball gag and
Yeah.
crawling time. I mean, the best money. I knew this one girl who was booked every single day, all day, and she would come out with $1,200 a day.
Really though?
You know what I mean? And at 3 times a week. Now, mind you, I can't do math. So
Right. But you notice we all can. We were oh yeah, that's $2 billion.
Yeah, okay, yeah, of course.
Every year. So when is your next lecture at Ventura College?
It's every semester.
Okay.
So unfortunately, because school is mostly Zoom now, I recorded a lecture.
And what happens to the BDSM world during the pandemic?
That was tough. A lot of dungeons. Now, mind you,
It seems like you can go up on your prices, though. I'll be like, hey,
yeah, exactly, right?
Meet me in my garage.
Exactly. So a lot of dungeons that are just play spaces. Now, the one I worked at, it had different play rooms, but it wasn't and a place where you could throw parties, what we call play parties. So there are a couple dungeons in LA that I absolutely love that are vetted. They're above board. They're not creepy underground places that were closed for quite a while.
Have you ever been somewhere and you saw one of your clients out with their family or with his wife or something?
Gosh.
But at the dungeon, somebody recognized me because of my relationship with my dad.
Oh, man.
He knew me, and I was like,
You're like, yeah, I don't like your dad in his politics.
I was like, okay, what? Let's just forget about it. But it's not like he was going to tell anybody. Because what was he going to say?
Yeah.
I met this girl at the dungeon where
here I am. I'm chained up getting socked in my nuts. And I look over and your daughter's crawling past me.
I know, right? Oh my God, that would be so funny.
So when was the last time you participated in, what do you call it?
Play.
When was the last time you played?
Or scening. It's been a while because I don't trust that many people with me anymore.
Right, I got you.
I would probably say 6 months. So that's hard for me, actually.
Like a drought.
It is. That's hard for me emotionally and psychologically because it's who I am now.
Right.
I'm completely unashamed. It's a part of who I am. It's, I love it. And so to not be able to play consistently has been difficult.
Right. And you don't do anything on Instagram or OnlyFans or anything like
No,
that?
I don't.
So you don't book?
No, I don't.
I was just asking for a friend.
Yeah, I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Have you ever had someone that didn't know how to ask you? You could tell this person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then they come around.
So, I've always been able to
I
make
remember we were in
people
Vegas that
comfortable.
time. I walked around you 5-6 times. I didn't know what to do.
Hilarious.
I just kept walking back shit. I was like, I'll just go upstairs.
Yeah, so it's you know, I need to feel comfortable,
Right.
and I've always had this ability to make other
Do
people
black
feel
guys
comfortable.
do this?
Oh yeah, actually,
No.
they have a specific kink that I've noticed a lot. Being
wait,
called.
Wait. Whoa, hold on.
I was like,
No, not. We don't want to be called nothing racial, right?
no, God, no. It's
Okay, so
being
is it-
called daddy.
Really?
That is
See,
something consistent.
I'm not a daddy guy.
Yeah, not always.
Yeah.
But that's something that I've like. Now this is all like anecdotal research. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not like doing like clinical studies or
Right.
some shit. But that's something that I've noticed a lot.
I probably maybe more of like, hey, white bitch, something like that.
Yeah, and they just love a white girl with a fat ass.
Nah,
and so I
okay.
was like, okay.
Well, I got a fat ass at home. What are the top 3 things that guys ask for?
So
I can see if it's on my list.
Okay, yeah, just pull out your pen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All
No,
of
I've
you
got
guys.
mine pre-written.
Oh, so probably that I follow their rules. That I call them sir or daddy or whatever kind of, which I like. I really
Yeah.
enjoy that.
I don't like that
And that they
daddy.
can spank me.
Really?
Probably, yeah. Because even kink light, I guess you would say, spanking is, you know, a really common fetish. It's, you know, I mean, that's pain play. That's the thing. And that's my thing. So,
Do you have like buns of steel or something at this point?
you know, I got them because of working at the
Yeah,
dungeon.
yeah.
I really did. Like, it takes a lot now. So it was, but those are most common. And I mean, but don't get me wrong, there are some extreme
You ever had any
fetishes.
guys that came in like diapers and?
Not me personally, but when guys have a mommy fetish, absolutely. I've seen that before.
Mommy fetish. What are your thoughts of when you see BDSM in like pop culture, like a 50 Shades of Grey?
That's a
Right.
great question. So 50 Shades of Grey is a terrible representation
Really?
of BDSM. It really is. It was just it promoted abuse.
Right. Yes.
Which BDSM is not there's a line between abuse and consensual pain play. And there's a very big difference. And not all people who like pain play were abused as a kid. You know what I mean? So which is unfortunate that was such a bad representation because it was so popular.
Very popular.
Now there's a movie that came out, I forgot exactly what year, called The Secretary. And
Oh,
that I
yeah.
suggest
Maggie Gyllenhaal, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I suggest people watch that because that is a much better representation.
You watched it already, Natalia?
No, I just know of it though.
Yeah.
No, I just remember, like for some reason I never got around to watching it, but I remember it
this
being
is
a big
trust
talk.
tree
Hey,
here.
homie.
No, they didn't.
I know. This
We
is
love you.
trust
We
tree.
love you.
We love you all the same.
You stop.
No
just-
shame, no shame.
Now that I know we can get it in house.
Don't movie shame me.
I wasn't movie shaming.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just crazy that you knew that. You know? Yeah.
What
And
about-
that was an underground movie?
What about these?
Hey, why are we interviewing her longer than Jack Harlow? Like, what's
I got
going
so
on
many
here?
questions, bro.
All right.
You were talking
book some
about
time.
you were talking about high profile people. How about celebrities? There's celebrities that have Stop
Actually, yes. Obviously, I cannot name
Yeah,
the
yeah,
movie,
right.
but he was one of the main stars of a really popular movie.
Really? And he was a client of yours?
He was I was one of his favorites. He was a regular client of mine.
Wow. What did he like?
Okay, so it was the same thing every single time. So he would book me for 45 minutes. And I was a damsel in distress. So
You'd be like, "Oh,
I
my.
was
Love
yes,
this. Oh,
exactly.
I can't
So-
believe it. Oh,
Well, you'd think I'd be able to say that,
Right.
but I was gagged for it.
Oh, okay.
So he was very into shibari.
What's
which-
Shibari?
Shibari is the
love
Japanese
charcuterie. I
art
just
form
got
of
into
rope
that.
bondage.
Oh, okay. I thought
okay.
you were talking about charcuterie. I was like,
Right? That'd be a great kink. I'm like, okay, I'll take a charcuterie
okay,
board.
so
Give me
what
some
is
of
it
that
called?
So shibari.
Why does that sound like a black dude's name?
That
Like,
is
man,
great,
y'all know,
right?
y'all know Shibari. I went to Crenshaw.
Yeah, good. Look at the homie shibari. So he would tie me up. That was his fetish. It wasn't any spanking, nothing like that. It was this beautiful rope bondage. That's not necessarily my thing, but I did feel very safe with him. And then I would sit on the floor, like the carpeted floor, and then he would tie up my chest and my wrists and my ankles. And I'd have to wear like red lipstick. This
And
was
this is
very
the actor?
specific. Yes, this is the
Okay.
actor. And I was like kind of struggling a little bit while he pleasured himself.
Oh, my God.
And then he would finish. Now they weren't allowed to finish on us.
Right,
Thank
right,
God.
right.
That was just very much against the rules. And then he would finish, and then he would untie me, and we'd just talk about his life.
Hey, dude, would we know him? Have we seen a movie or so?
Definitely.
I
Really?
definitely have some like names in my head. Oh my
Right.
gosh, yes.
But it's so. it's the BDSM world is all about, confidentiality because for a
BDSM.
lot of people, it's their alter ego.
Right,
It's their
I understand that. I understand that. Are you going to tell us who it is?
No.
Well, this interview's over. No. This uncut is over. But no, Barbara, I thank you for coming in.
Thank you
We've
for having
learned
me.
so much. And we've been talking about sitting down and doing this. And I'm so glad that you came in today and sat with us for Uncut.
Interesting.
Go ahead now.
Really quick. So I'm a sex coach specializing in BDSM and sexual trauma coping. So if you want to reach me through my website, it's coachedbybarbara, BARBARA.com. And I'm here to help.
And what does that mean?
So a sex coach is basically it's basically like a therapist.
Right.
So I help people achieve their ideal sexual self.
All right. And where can they find you again?
Coached by Barbara, BARBARA.com.
There it is. Appreciate you for coming in.
Thank you for having
hanging
me.
out with us Uncut. That's Barbara right there. Big Boy's Neighborhood.